palette. One fun fact about me. Not sure if it is a fun fact, but I just like to mention it. So I'm a painter, and I just like to proudly call myself a techie artist. And if any of you guys want to connect with me, I've got my own blogging website, datavibe.co.uk, where you can find some basic articles around Power BI. I also keep on posting some tips and tricks. Recently I posted a Azure certification tutorial there, which I recently cleared. So if any of you guys are interested, in just visit my blogging website, and you can go through those articles. And then I've added my LinkedIn handle, my Twitter handle, my Power BI community profile here, and my Instagram. Now, before I start the session, I just want to, lay around the agenda for today's session. So you just splitted this session into 4 different parts. So in the first part, how we'll do is we'll start with, seeing some basic things in Power BI, like what Power BI desktop tool is, and, what all things or what functionalities it gives us, just viewing on a higher side. Then this in the second part, I'll start by, importing a sample data set, and that will be basically a sample travel insurance data set, which we'll import into Power BI, and then we'll start with doing some basic data analysis there. And in the end, I'll while doing that analysis, I'll try to come up with the top 5 key insights from the data. And then the third part would be, as we have limited time in this session, in the end, I'll show you a ready-made dashboard, which I created using this travel insurance data. So it will just help you see, what kind of interactions you can build in Power BI for the users, and, how you can enrich your reports, basically. And in the end, I'll take up any questions if there are. So yeah, let's start with Power BI. So I have opened this in advance. So in this session, we'll be going through more around Power BI desktop. Now, before I say Power BI desktop, I'll just give you like a high level introduction around. There are 2 different. Sorry, is anyone saying something?
I'll unmute everybody, and if you can unmute yourself, Pragati.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mark. So in Power BI, there are basically 2 different environments, I would say. So one environment is known as Power BI Desktop, and the other environment is known as Power BI Cloud Service. Now, Power BI Desktop tool is basically more for the developers who develop the reports or dashboards. But once those reports are developed, in order to share those reports with the stakeholders or different business users, you can publish those reports into a secured cloud environment, which is known as Power BI Service. But for this session, we'll be focusing only on Power BI Desktop tool. The reason is because I'm going to show you some reporting analysis here. So that's why we'll stick only to Power BI Desktop. We'll not talk about Power BI Service. Now, Power BI Desktop is a free tool. Just download it on a Windows machine, and you can just get started. So once you download Power BI Desktop and open it, it ends up with something like this. So it just shows you a blank canvas. Now, before I start telling you some basics around what this tool is about, what all different areas you can use to create reports, I'll just import the data at this step. The reason why I want to import data at the first instance is, once the data is in Power BI, then it will be easy for me to show you what Power BI is capable of doing and how you can start doing basic analysis using this data set. So on the top ribbon, if you see, there's something called there's something called get data. So this get data, when you click on it, it shows you all the different data sources. And if you click on more, it will further show you more data sources to which you can connect Power BI to. So as this is a beginner session, I picked up the easiest data source for our session today, and that is a simple Excel and CSV file. So I'll just point out some of the most common data sources here. So like mostly people use like Excel, CSV, folders. People use sometimes SharePoint folder to connect to your SharePoint area. Then some databases like Oracle, MySQL database, PostgreSQL database, Teradata. Then you have got a different area for Azure. So if your data is in Azure, then you've got multiple connectors that are supported by Power BI, which you can, connect to Azure. But as I said, this is a beginner session, so we'll take up the basic data source. So for my first data set, I'll just choose CSV because it is a CSV file. You choose the CSV connector and click on connect. Once you click on connect, Power BI asks you to, go and choose your data set. So just browse to your data set. So this is my data set. I click on it. I click open. Once I click open, Power BI is basically, trying to connect to that data source on my machine. And once it connects to that data source, it gives you like a high level view of your data set. So what I mean by the high level view of the data set is like, it just shows you like top 200 rows from your data, and it gives you like what all columns are there in your data set. Okay. So once you think like they're okay, you can just click on load. Once you click on load, Power BI starts importing that data into this environment. So it takes like few seconds. Okay. So once your data is imported in Power BI, on the right, there's something called field section. In this field section, that data set is loaded. And if you expand it, you can see all the columns that are in your data set. Okay. Now, just part of an exercise, I also want to, import another data set because I want to quickly show you how to create relationship in Power BI between two data sets. So I need another data set to show you that. So I'll just click on get data. And my second data source is an Excel file. So I'll click on Excel and I choose my data. I click on open. Once I click on open, Power BI comes up with a new window. Now, when we tried connected to CSV file, it just showed us the data. But now we are trying to connect to Excel. Now, I think most of you must have got experience working with Excel. Now, Excel file works with, on a principle of multiple sheets as well. So in my Excel file, I've got a single spreadsheet. That's why it shows me that. But if you have got multiple spreadsheets, then Power BI will show you. So, you can select which spreadsheets you want, or if you want all the spreadsheets to be loaded. So in my case, I've got just one sheet. So I click on that and I see the data here. I click on load, the same thing. And Power BI is loading that spreadsheet data. So once it loads the data, again, under fields pane, we can see the second data set is loaded. Now in this second data set, you can see like there are some weird things loaded as well. So I'll show you how to handle such things in Power BI. So, okay, our first step is done. We have got both the data sets that we require for today's session. Now, as part of best practice, what I generally tend to do and what I generally suggest people starting with Power BI is once your data is in Power BI, you should, just go and look at the data at some high level view, like whether the data is right, does it look right? Has Power BI shown given the right data types to different columns in your data set? So, to see that data at certain high level, I generally use Power Query Editor in Power BI. Now, Power Query Editor is very much similar to query editor present in Excel. So let me show that to you, how you get there. So on this top ribbon, if you see this transform data, if you click on that, and if you click on transform data again, Power BI opens a new window, and that is known as Power Query Editor. Now, again, I would say those who have worked on Excel a lot, this Power Query Editor will seem very similar to what you see it in Power BI, because Power BI has taken a lot of stuff from Excel. So you'll find it very easy when you have, already got experience working with Excel and then you're starting with Power BI. So, you see so many things are very much similar here. So once you get the Power Query Editor open as a new window, you see all the data sets that you have imported in Power BI. In our case, we imported two data sets, so we can see both the data sets. Now, first thing I'll show you is, if you remember the second data set, what we downloaded, or what we imported in Power BI, it came up with, it just read like few columns which were, which didn't look right. Now, the reason is in my spreadsheet, what I did was I just entered the URL link from where I have taken this, data set. And by mistake, I put that on the top row. So it read it as a column, and any empty column between this column and this column, it took it as empty columns. So how you handle these things in Power BI? Now, one way is you just remove these columns because you don't need it, because in this data set, only country and accidents column are the ones I require. Rest of them is like Power BI just read them by mistake. So one way is just click on the column. If you right click, remove it. Once you click remove, that column 3 is removed. And once you apply a certain step, you can see that under applied step, you can see what you have done. Okay, and if you click on it, there's a formula bar at the top that tells you what this step is about. So we just removed column 3. That's what it is coming up. And suppose if I remove this from applied steps, that column appears again. But I want to remove multiple columns. So what you can do is, the easiest way to do this in one go is, if you're working on a Windows machine, just use your control key, click all the columns you want to remove, right click and remove columns. So if you do that in one go, you have removed multiple columns basically, right? And the other way of doing this could be, I'll just remove this applied step to show you the other way. The other way could be just select the columns that you want to keep in the data set. So the same thing on a Windows machine, click Control, select all the columns that you want to keep in that data set, right click and select remove other columns because you want to remove other columns and keep these two selected columns. So just click on remove other columns. So that's how you can remove the unnecessary columns from Power BI. Okay, now let's go to the other data set. So this was just, the basic step in Power BI. If you want to remove some unnecessary columns or the wrong columns that Power BI has read, just remove them. Because, it's as part of best practice, just have what you require for reporting, not anything more than that. Because, for example, this data set is very small, but when you're working with some, challenging data sets like who have got like millions of rows in them, it's always as part of best practice to keep in mind to have only the columns that are required for your reporting and just remove rest of them. The second thing, now the other data set what we imported here was a travel insurance data. Now to show you next step thing, what I'll do, I'll just, minimize my left and right pane. I'll bring them back again. Now, this is basically a general travel insurance data. And what this data is about is it has just got, some data around what different travel insurance products different, agencies are selling and, how much sales they are making out of it against what destination they are selling those products and how much commission they're earning. And in addition, we have also got some kind of information around like gender and age. So like what age group people are buying those, not age group, what age people are buying these insurance products and, what gender. Now, once I have data in Power BI, the first thing what I generally check is, just to see like an overall view on the data. Now, for doing that, what you can do is on the top, there's something called view. Click on view and then you've got multiple options. Now, let's select column profile. Sorry, let's select column distribution. Now in column distribution, you end up seeing two metrics, I would say, against every column that's in your data set. So for example, take destination column. Now in destination column, you can see two metrics saying there are 65 distinct values and 16 unique values. Now, if you think about a general English term, if I can use distinct and unique in a same way, basically, when I'm just, talking in my normal English language. But when you work with data, then distinct and unique, both of them hold a different meaning. So what these mean are, like, for example, destination column says there are 65 distinct values in destination column. This means there are 65 different country values in this destination column. That's what 65 distinct value means. 16 unique means there are 16 different type of country names in destination column that appeared only once. Okay, so now that's the difference between distinct and unique. So when you are working with data, you need to keep that in mind that distinct is not same as unique. They are very much different. They hold different meanings. So that's the first thing I generally see because it just gives me idea, okay, like what kind of different country values I've got, how many are distinct, how many are unique. So just helps with some data analysis when you start doing it. Now, the second thing what I generally see is column quality. Now, when you click on column quality, I'll just, unselect column distribution. So we just have column quality there. So when you click on column quality, it ends up showing you three different metrics. One is valid, which means from Power BI's best judgment, how many are the valid values in this column? Second is error. Error is if this column has got any error. And third is empty. Empty is if there are any empty values in this column. Now the agency column, which we are seeing, it looks perfectly fine. I mean, it has got all the valid values in every single row. It has got no errors and it hasn't got any empty values. But if I take you to some other column as gender in this data, now this column gives you a different picture. It says like this column has got only 11% of the total values in this column as valid. It hasn't got any error, but it has got 89% empty values. Now, if we look at the column carefully, we can see it has got two values, M, F. Obviously, it's a gender column, so M is for male and F is for female. And it has got the third value, which is empty. So as part of best practice, I'll say again, if you are, experiencing any such kind of scenarios where you have these empty values or blank values or null values in your column, it's always good to, replace those empty values with a known thing or known entity name, because it just helps you to lead to some wrong conclusions while you're analyzing the data. So now in this column, I'll show you how you can replace these empty rows with some value. So to do that, just right click on the column and click on the replace values. When you click on replace values, a new window appears and it asks you two inputs. First is what value you want to find in this column, and second is with what value you want to replace it with. So in my case, value to find is a blank value and I want to replace it with, say, U. Now, why I chose U? Just randomly. You can choose it anything. The reason why I chose U was just because in this column, I have got M for male and F for female. So I thought maybe blank could be replaced by U for unknown. But it's up to you. You can, choose anything like unknown or not applicable, not given, not found, anything. It's completely up to you. But for this scenario, we'll just replace it with U. Once you hit OK, you see all the empty values are replaced by U, and these metrics completely change. Now it shows like there are 100% valid values, no error, and there are no empty values. So that's the basic, kind of things you can do in Power Query Editor. You can also check the data types, even like, for example, agency type. These all should be text. So I can see like Power BI has detected them as text or string values. So in Power BI, if there's anything like ABC besides a column name, it means a data type. So ABC is numeric, ABC is string, 123 is numeric. And for example, 1.2, that's decimal. So for example, net sales, commission value, these are all taken as decimal values. So that's the basic kind of things you can see. Now I'll just bring back the right, left and right panes, which I just closed in the first iteration. So yeah. Then apart from this, what all you can do in Power Query Editor is, for example, if you want to, transform your data by adding some group by, if you want to transpose rows in the data, if you want to reverse rows, if you want to pivot or unpivot your columns, replace values, which one scenario we just saw. You can split a column by delimiter or different kinds of, iterations or scenarios shown here. You can extract value from a column using delimiter. Then you can even run, R and Python script within this Power Query Editor. And suppose if you want to add some column, then you can add custom columns, you can add index column, conditional column. You can even invoke a custom function within Power Query Editor to create columns. And on the right, if you see, you have some AI Insight built-in capability as well. So for example, if you want to do some text analytics, so like Power BI has got some text analytics API, which you can connect from Power BI desktop, and you can do some text analytics kind of analysis on your data. You can bring in your existing Azure machine learning model here, and you can try generating some predictive analysis on your data. So yeah, so that's the kind of different things you can do here in Power Query Editor. Now, once you're finished with doing all the things in Power Query Editor and you're happy with your data set, the most important thing you need to do is you need to save your changes, what you have done. Because if you don't save your changes in Power Query Editor, Power BI will never, commit those changes. So your data sets will not have the changes you did here. So for that, what you do is you see something here, close and apply. So close and apply will do what? If you just select apply, it will just save the changes and keep this window open, but I just want to close the window as well. So what I'll do, I'll just select close and apply. So once I click on close and apply, Power BI is basically, bringing those few changes what we did in Power Query Editor and, bringing it here. So if you see those changes are done, the reason why I said they are done, if you see the plain accidents data set, I don't see those weird columns or wrong columns that were, misread by Power BI. So yeah, so our Power Query changes are done. Now, once we have a data set, in place, let me tell you a few basics around Power BI. Okay, I'll start with something here on the left. Now, the first icon, this is report view basically. So it's like a reporting canvas. When you bring in any visualizations, create bar charts, line charts, pie charts, you'll see them here. So that's your reporting area. The second one is your data area. So once you click on that, you can see your data sets here. So for example, plane accidents, you can see your plane accidents. It has got 2 columns. You can see what all values it has got. You can apply some filters. So, this is very much similar to the capabilities you've got in Excel. So you'll find it very similar to it. Similarly, if I click on travel insurance, I can see my travel insurance data. Now the third icon. Now the third icon represents model. Now a model in Power BI is more around, if you've got some kind of links or relationships between different data sets. I mean, that's the easiest definition for me for a model. So as part of this session, I'll just show you how to create relationships between two data sets. Now, this is nothing to do with the data analysis that we'll be doing in next step, but just to show you how you create a basic relationship in Power BI, I'll show it to you. So we have got two data sets, plain accidents. Second one is travel insurance. Now, the columns, obviously, to create a relationship, you need, common columns in both the data sets. Then only you can create a relationship. Now, in plain accidents, there's a column called country. And in travel insurance, I've got a column called destination, which has got those country values. So we'll try to create a simple basic relationship between these two columns on these two data sets. Now, to create the relationships, you can choose either of the two options. The first option is on the top ribbon, you can choose manage relationship, or you can click on either of the data sets. So for example, on these three dots, and that's there. I mean, the same option is here, which is manage relationship. So you can choose either of them to create a relationship. Let's create this. I choose this manage relationship. So I click on manage relationship, a new window appears. Now, this window is empty because obviously I don't have any active relationships yet in Power BI. That's why there are no relationships. So let's click on new because we want to create a new relationship. Click on new. When we click on new, a new window opens. Now, when you open this create relationship, when this new create relationship window opens, you are asked to select two tables because obviously you need two tables to create a relationship. So the first one, let's select plain accidents, and obviously the second one is selected by itself. The reason is because in our Power BI file, I mean this desktop Power BI, we just imported two data sets. Now suppose I had a third data set or fourth data set here, then Power BI may have given me options to choose my second data set. But in this case, my second data set is selected by default because there are only two data sets imported in Power BI. Now, once you select the data set, the next step is select the column on which you want to create the relationships. So in plain accidents, I select my country column. And in travel insurance, I select my destination column. Now, as soon as you click on the two columns in those two data sets, Power BI makes its best judgment and gives you a cardinality and the type of filter direction on your relationship. Now, what cardinality is? Now, cardinality is more around, what's the different values on the columns which are in your data set. How many unique values are there basically? So for example, we created a relationship from plain accidents to travel insurance. Now in plain accidents in country column, I've got every row having, I mean, appearing a country name only once. Okay. But in my travel insurance data set, I've got multiple rows for a single country value. That's why my cardinality is one to many from plain accidents to travel insurance data, but many to one from travel insurance to plain accidents data. So that's what cardinality is. Now we select OK. Once we select OK, that new relationship appears here, which we just created. We click close, and there you go. We have got our relationship created. Okay, so I'm not going into, details into relationship or modeling in Power BI because it is such a huge topic, and, it will take us ages to get through it. And obviously this session is not focused on Power BI data modeling, so I'll just skip that bit. I just wanted to show you a basic relationship creation in Power BI, which I've shown you. So next, let's start with some data analysis finally. Before that, I'll just show you one more thing. So in Power BI, okay, so our whole analysis will be based on this travel insurance data, okay? So now I told you, I gave you an introduction around the data. So what, I'll just say it again. So what travel insurance data is, this data has got, some entries around different travel insurance products that different agencies have sold to customers. And we have just got two metrics around customer information, their gender and their age. And we can also see some information around like what different sales, different agencies have generated while selling these insurance products and what commission they have got. Now, let's do one basic data type transformation here. Let's select the net sales column. Now, net sales is, uh, net sales is something, which we should ideally represent with a currency symbol, because when you show your reports or your data to higher management or stakeholders, that's, the standard kind of, representation accepted worldwide. So if you're showing an amount or sales, so these kind of things should always have a currency symbol in front of them. So what I'll show you how you can do that on this column. So if you click on this column, on the top ribbon, you can see what data type it has got, name of the column, and you can see the summarization and data category. We'll not go into this, but I'll be more interested in showing you how you can add a currency symbol before the numeric value in net sales. So if you see this currency symbol, click on the drop down, and it gives you different currencies. So, you can select any one which, whichever, holds true to you based on the location or geographic location you are, based in. So for example, we just select UK pound sign. So if I click on that, so what happens is Power BI just adds a pound symbol before the values in my net sales column. But you see, it has got like two decimal places here. But suppose if I don't want two decimal places, I just want to, show it without decimal places. So here I can change the decimal places, just hit enter, and Power BI just shows it like 10 pound. So that's how, you can represent sales, amount, commission, all those kind of things as a currency value. So similar thing we'll do with the commission as well, because commission also represents the same kind of value. So we click on commission column, we go to currency symbol, we select UK pound, and there you go. I don't want any decimals, so I just make it 0 decimal place. So there you go. You can do, this kind of basic data formatting changes in Power BI, because sometimes these kind of small things can just make your reports look differently. So yeah, that's what we have done here. Now, so we are done with data. We have got the data in the best format we want for our data analysis. So let's start with some data analysis. Now in Power BI, on the right here, you've got a visualization pane. Now in this visualization pane, you can see so many visuals. Now these visuals, which you see here, these are the default visuals that Microsoft has given you, which you can directly drag and drop and use it. But apart from these visuals, you can also bring in some custom visuals. Now, to do that, you just click on these three dots, click on get more visuals, and then Power BI will take you to a different cloud area from where you can bring in the custom visuals. But for this session, I'll just, I'll not be bringing in any custom visuals. I'll stick to the default visuals, because most of the reports I have done so far, I have just finished everything within the default visuals, and they are really strong visuals, which you can really use in a good way to represent your data story. Now, let's start with a basic task. Now, I just showed you what this data is about. So let's start with a basic metric on a visual. Like, for example, if I just want to see like how many different insurance products my different agencies have sold. So I'll select, so for that, you need to select a visual first. Okay. So let's select clustered bar chart. So I'll click on it. Once you click on it, a blank visual appears here. Once this, okay, so you can make it bigger, smaller, as per your requirement. So once you bring in select a visual here on the canvas, it gives you different options of, moving the fields here. So, you can see some data here. Now, as I said, we'll represent a basic metric here. So our basic metric here is total number of insurance products sold by different agency types. So what I'll do is I'll bring in agency type. So how you do it, just drag and drop them. Just click on agency type, drag it to x-axis. And I want to see total number of products. So total number of products is something I need to count product name. So what I'll do is I'll bring product name to values. Now, once you do move product name to value section, Power BI does an amazing job. It just counts it for you. That's what we wanted, right? So we have got a count of products, insurance products by different agency types. And just to make it more clear, what you can do is like, this is the formatting icon for this visual. Click on that. You see a lot many formatting options here. You can play around with the visual. For example, switch on the border. If I want to switch on data labels, I've got the data labels. And suppose under data labels, there are different kind of display units. Suppose if I don't want anything, then it just shows me the exact number. If you want to display it at thousands, then it is like that. So you can just play around with it based on your requirement. Then there are data colors. You can change data colors and other stuff, x-axis, y-axis formatting. So yeah, there's a lot. So you can do a lot of stuff there. So this chart basically is showing us that travel agencies are selling more travel insurance products as compared to airlines. Okay, that's kind of like first insight that we get from the data. But do you really think like, or is there like, for example, when I see like travel agencies are selling more insurance products than airlines, then a question comes to my mind as why? Is there a reason behind it? Could be, right? So we'll find that in the next step. But before going to next step, I'll show you one quick thing. Now we can see like these, total number of products, they're shown as 45. I know I can read it 45,869. But when you're showing these reports to some high stakeholders or your management team, so there's a standard number representation, that's accepted worldwide. So you just show your numbers with some thousand separator. So what we can do is I'll just show you how to create a quick measure to achieve that, a simple measure to do that. Now in Power BI, you can create different kind of calculations on top of the data once you get in, okay? So for this session, I'll just show you how to create a simple measure. So to do that, you can either choose new measure from here, or you can right click on your data set and select new measure. Now, once you click on new measure, a formula bar opens here. Now, suppose so you need to give your measure name, or you can use the default one measure. But when you end up creating multiple measures, then measure name just becomes, not easier one. So always try to give a meaningful name. So if anyone else is viewing your report or after you, someone else starts working on it, it should hold some sense, right? So let's give the name as volume of products. Now, in this chart, what we did was we just took product name and then counted it, right? So basically, we need to count. So see how good Power BI is. When you start typing count, it shows you all the different count, functions. So I just want count, and on column name, so I want product. Sorry, if you say that much, it just shows you product name. Just select it. So you select it, close the bracket, hit enter. Once you hit enter, Power BI creates a measure for you in that data set. Okay, the icon for the measure is a small calculator because it's a calculation, so quite easy to identify. So that's the volume of products. Now I select this chart and I'll do one thing. I'll just move this volume of products along with values. Okay. Now, if you let's just change the color just to make things little clear. Volume of products. Let's give pink. So I click on it and you can see now volume of products is currently showing the number in the same way, but we want it to be represented in a better way with 1000 separator. So to do that, what you do is click on your measure here on the right, volume of products, and on the top you can see again the different data formatting options for it. Now I just want 1000 separator. So this icon here shows you 1000 separator. Click on it. Once you click on it, it changes my number representation with 1,000 separators. So that's how I want it. So you can quickly do it in this way. So what I'll do in this chart is I'll just remove my count on product name and just keep the volume of product because that's how I want my number to be represented. So that's like a small way of, representing numbers in Power BI, how you can do it. Now, going back to the question that we asked after getting this insight. Now, this chart told us why travel agencies are selling more insurance products than airlines. So let's try to find some answers around it. Now, if I just go back to data, there was a column called commission. Now, this commission is more around whenever an agency sells an insurance product to customer, a small value is attached to that total value of the product, which is known as commission. So these agencies actually earn a commission value after selling different products. So let's see how this commission, average commission, these agencies are basically getting while they sell the products. So let's select clustered column chart again. You can select other chart as well, doesn't matter. So I select a clustered chart and clustered column chart. I move the agency type. Now I want to represent on an average how much commission these agencies are getting while selling the insurance products. So what I'll do is I'll take the commission value and commission column and move it to the value section. Now, once you move a numeric value to value section of a chart, and if you click on this arrow, Power BI by default summarizes it to sum. But in this case, I want to see the average. On an average, how much different agencies are charging. So I'll click on average and it shows me average. And just to make things clear, we'll bring in the data labels. Okay. Now, I think I have the answer. Now, if you see, on an average, an airline agency is charging £60 per for insurance product they sell. And travel agencies, they just charge £8. It's a 50% less. So I think that's the reason why travel agencies are selling more products, because as a customer, I would go and buy with travel agencies because they are charging me less in commission while I buy a product with them. So I think that's the reason why travel agencies are selling more products as compared to airlines. Okay, so that's sorted. We just started analyzing the stuff and we got an insight, we asked a question and we got an answer to it. So that's a good thing about doing, basic analysis in Power BI. Now I'll tell you something quickly about slicers. Now in Power BI, if you want to drag and drag different visuals in one go, just click them, control click, move them anywhere using your cursor. I'll just move them here. I'll just show you what a slicer does. Now slicer is a visual which you can use to slice and dice data on your report. So for example, let's move gender. Okay. If I move gender, Power BI by default shows me a list of values in that column, but I can change the way my slicer looks. So if you hover over the slicer, there's a drop down icon. Click on it. You can make it a drop down as well. So once you do that, you see it as a drop down. But if you wanted to keep it as a list, you can keep it as a list as well. Now, once I start selecting values in it, for example, if I select female, you see my chart's number have changed. So that's how you can slice and dice your data using these slicers. Now, suppose if I want to select create another slicer, so either I can copy paste my existing slicer, or I can create a new one here. If you create a new one, you get it and you create it. But suppose if I just want to use my existing one, I just on a Windows machine, just do a Control C, click here outside, do a Control V. You have copied your slicer. You can move some other field value in here. Oh, let's move destination. So you have got another slicer created. Now, if you click here, for example, Austria, my numbers change. So now this data is shown for customers who belong to male gender and who have bought insurance products for Austria as destination. So that's how you can use, different slicers in collaboration with each other. Okay, now you can also rename a page. So for example, this was like agency analysis. So I just rename it at agency analysis. Okay. So it's just good to have that kind of thing because, it just makes things self-explanatory. Now, let's go to next stuff. Let's do some other data, try to bring out some other insight. So In Power BI, you can click on this plus sign to add a new page on your report. So click on it, it adds a new page. Now on this page, let's do some kind of analysis around the different insurance products. Let's try to find out like which are the top most popular insurance products that are being sold by these agencies. So for that, I'll just bring the clustered column chart again. And what I'll do is on this, I'll move product name to my axis and obviously volume of product because I want to see how many products have been sold. In Power BI, if you use this focus mode, it just brings your chart to focus or makes it bigger, I would say. So you can see all the products, like how many of them have been sold. So if you hover over them, you can see like cancellation plan in total 18,630 cancellation plan insurance product have been sold and so on, just to make things clear, switch on the data level. Okay, now if we go further down the chart, we see like the numbers are very small and they don't make much sense. So let's try to, cut down this chart to show only top 10 insurance products. Now, before going into top 10 insurance products, let's talk about different kinds of filters in Power BI. Now, in Power BI, there's something called this filters pane. You click on this arrow, it will just expand it. Now in here, you see two options. One is filters on this page. Second is filters on all pages. Now filters on this page, easy to understand. If you bring in anything here, that filter will only be applied to this page. So for example, let me bring destination as filter on this page. And suppose if I select Canada, the numbers are selected for Canada. Now let's go to the previous report page, which we created. If I go over that, in filters on this page, I don't see anything because the filter which I added on this new page is only visible to this page. So that's what filter on this page is. And obviously you can use this eraser icon to clear it. Okay, now let's come to filters on all pages. Now suppose if I move this destination to filters on all pages. Okay, so once I move destination here, it shows on this page. Plus, if I go back to my any other reporting page, it shows me there as well. Now, suppose if I select filter here, so for example, China. Oh, sorry, here I've got filter selected, so you need to clear them first. So if I select China, then my numbers are shown for China. If I go to the next page, that same filter is applied on this page. So that's what filter on all pages mean. Okay, I'll clear it. If I clear it, it gets cleared it on the other page as well. Okay, now the third type of filter what Power BI has is known as filters on this visual or visual level filters. They only appear when you click on a visual. So for example, if I click on a visual, a third thing appears, filter on this visual, apart from filter on this page and filter on all pages. Now, in this chart, I just want to see top 10 most popular products. So I just want to, select my top 10 products by volume. So how we do that is, I want to limit my x-axis with top 10 volume, right? So my x-axis is a product name. I just click on product name. Click on product name, then I can see filter type. In this case, I want top 10. So I select top N. Now top 10, so I enter 10. You can bring top 5, top 7, top 8, whatever you want. Then by value, I want it on the basis of volume they have been sold. So I bring in that volume of products here. I apply filter here and see. I just see top 10 products in that chart. So this is how you can use, filters on a visual to, show better insights on your data. So this is how your volume of, you can see top 10 products. And what you can do is you can quickly change the title if you want, something like top 10 popular insurance products. So that's how you change the title. Easy. Now, now quickly see like how many sales these top 10 products have generated. Now I showed you in the previous tab on the previous report tab that you can, copy paste a visual. So what we'll do is I'll just click my visual, use Control C on a window machine, click outside the canvas, Control V, I've got the visual. Now suppose on this chart, what I want is I want to, add total sales these top 10 products have generated. Now, for that, I'll need another kind of chart or visual. Now in Power BI, when you want to, visualize two metrics that share the same axis, you can use a chart known as line and clustered column chart. So what I'll do is I'll just click on my visual and click on the new visual type here. Once I click on the new visual type here, my map options here change. I get an additional option for line values where I can actually move my another metric which I want to represent for these products. So what I'll do is, okay, let's just make this chart bigger so we see the information clearly. So I'll just move the net sales to my line values. When I move that, I see how much sales these top 10 products have generated. And just to make the colors clear, I'll just change the color of my line chart by going under formatting sections, go to data colors, and I'll change it to pink, red, or you can choose any color. The only reason why I choose a different contrasting color is, so if I see my chart from a distance, it tells me there are two different metrics. Okay. Now, if I go back to the report and if I compare my top chart with my bottom chart. Now in my top chart, I see that cancellation plan is the one sold most, which is followed by two-way comprehensive plan. But I look at my bottom chart, cancellation plan is actually not the one generating the top sales. It's the two-way comprehensive plan insurance product that's generating the top sales. Now, one reason, a vague guess I can make is maybe two-way comprehensive plans are expensive than cancellation plan. That's why they're generating more sales. Now, obviously, I'm not a domain expert, so it's like a guess from my side. So that's how you can add additional charts to just get more insights. So I'll just rename this page this product analysis. Okay, we are on time. Okay. Now I'll just show you a few more different kinds of visual, we can add. So I'll just add another page and just open the visualizer. You can collapse and expand it. Okay. If you don't require it, just collapse it. But we want to add more charts, so we'll bringing it. So let's see different kind of charts. For example, I'll show you pie chart and donut chart. Now, pie chart and donut chart, these are the charts that are mostly used, to represent proportional or, distribution kind of information. So for example, let's click on pie chart. Once you click on it, you get a pie chart here. Now, suppose if I just want to see, proportion of products bought against different destination customers have traveled to. So what I'll do is, obviously I want products. So I move that to values. Now I want it by destination. So I move it to legend. Now, if you see this chart or make it bigger, you can see the proportions as well. So what this chart does it by default, it gives you a proportion along with the whole number. Obviously, you can create calculations, for calculating this 20.93 percentage here. But the benefit of pie chart is it just does it for yourself. I mean, by itself, you don't have to create an additional calculation. So for example, this clearly says like this bigger chunk, this bigger pie part is for Singapore. So most of the insurance products overall have been bought against Singapore destination. So if you want to show those kind of, proportions, then these pie charts can be really helpful. And suppose let's take a donut chart and donut chart can also be helpful in representing similar information. So for example, if I want to get total products sold by different agencies, so I bring in agencies, so I can see what proportion of products different agencies have bought. And also, you can change the labels here, data labels here. So for example, if you go to formatting section, go to detail labels, it tells you what information you want to display on your chart. So for example, if I want just category and percentage of total, it tells me EPX agency has sold 55% of overall insurance product. Or if you want everything, you can select all detail labels. So there are multiple options you can play around with what you actually want. So that's how you can use, pie chart and, donut chart to represent the information. Now we are just nearing to the limit on our session, so limit on the time on the session. So what I'll do is I'll take you to the ready report which I created on this travel insurance data set, just to show you what additional interactions you can add on your report, just to make it better from user point of view. So let me take you to that report. And yeah, obviously after this, I'll take if there are any questions. Now, this is the travel insurance data analysis report I created using the same data set. Now in Power BI, you can bring in, images to create some additional, charm on your report. So I just kind of bought a basic image. You can add different images you want. Now, how I created this report was I created a home page which tells me like what this analysis is about. This is travel insurance data analysis. And then and at the bottom, you can see there are three different kinds of analysis done on this report. So for example, the first one is travel product summary. Second one is travel age-wise summary. Third is travel gender-wise summary. Now, these are basically different buttons created to, navigate you to these kind of studies. So for example, if you click on travel product summary, oh, let me take you to gender wise first, travel gender wise summary. If you click on that, it will take you to a report page where you will see analysis around gender wise. Okay, it's loading. Okay. So here you can see on the top, I've got the header for this report page. I've got a KPI. Now, for example, sometimes it's really important to have those top numbers at the top because these summary numbers are really appreciated by, management team. They really like seeing those big high level numbers. So always keep some KPIs while you're creating your reports. Then I've got some filters on the left here. You can select different filters. So for example, if I select an agency, my charts will get, just change for that selection. And then I've got the similar kind of charts. For example, total products by different genders and the product proportions as well. Now, one thing on this chart, which is very important. You remember the gender column, in the gender column, there were 89% of empty values and we replaced those 89% by unknown or you. So if you see, this chart clearly tells us why it is very important to handle those empty values, because if you see the distribution between male and female, it's nearly same. I mean, 15% male, 14% female. But this chart clearly shows you most of your data is dominated by the empty or, unknown data in the column. So basically doing any analysis at gender level will not give you any different insight because male and female, they represent same proportion in every other chart. So that's why it is very important to handle null or empty values or blank values in your data. Now, this button at the top, if you click on it, it will take you to the home page again. So that's how I have built the navigation. From home page, go to a particular study, see all the analysis, what is shown there, all the insights shown there, come back to the home page and go to a different study. Now let's go to travel age-wise quickly. So when you go to age-wise, click on that age-wise button, it takes you to a different tab, which is the age-wise summary. So I've got the same KPI here. I've got different filters here. Now in the charts, okay, so one thing on the chart you'll see different is if I go here, the age column just had like values. Okay, so to do a age level analysis, what I did, I created a new custom column in Power BI to, just create age brackets. So my analysis looks more smooth. So if I go back, so you can see like I have represented total number of products bought by different age group, and it clearly shows that age group 31 to 40 is the one buying most of the insurance products. Then on the bottom chart, you can clearly see like how much sales different age group has done. And obviously these two charts are in correlation. Like obviously age group 31 to 40 has bought most insurance products. That's why they are the ones generating most net sales. And along with that, I've also plotted commission, how much different agencies are getting commission value. So obviously age group 31 to 40 is the dominating one, and you can see that, followed by 41 to 50. And yeah, the similar distribution on the right. So sorry.
I'm just going to mute everybody apart from you.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
That's okay. Well, I'm going to mute everybody. So you'll need to unmute yourself, Pragati.
Thanks, Mark. So now similarly on the right, I used a donut chart just to show some kind of proportions. So for example, I just showed like which destination is mostly, visited by different age groups. So you can see like, okay, like 12% of them are visited by age group 41 to 50, then 31 to 40. Then this chart at the bottom right is total accidents seen within age group. So if you remember, I showed you a basic relationship in the starting between plane accidents and travel insurance data. So the plane accidents data just had like, how many accidents were seen by different countries. So I just tried to plot them here. So obviously it tells us like age group 31 to 40 is the one traveling most. So we can see most accidents in that age group, followed by 41 to 50 and so on. So yeah, this is like, the kind of basic analysis you can do in Power BI, and, you can create these kind of button navigation. So, it always gives like a good interaction to users. And obviously, once you add these filters, so, the users can, slice and dice your data at different levels and different groups. So yeah, this is what, you can do in Power BI. And this is what I had to show you guys today. So if I just go back. So in the end, I'll just close my session with like, I've got some Power BI resources. I mean, if you guys are interested and you want to start working with Power BI and use Power BI, you can, please visit these sources, because these are really good resources for Power BI, and I still follow them on daily basis, because Power BI just evolves every month, and it's hard to be on track. So yeah, definitely go back and check out amazing tricks and tips shown on these blogs. And yeah, thank you guys. I mean, if you guys have any questions, then yeah, please let me know.